Well, good evening and welcome to a new day. In this episode, we are going to be talking, as I promised, about persistence or perseverance, which is about the same thing. But before I do that, I want to read one of my favorite piece of writings for you, because when we look on being persistent or perseverance, we are going to want to hold this in mind. And it's, I'm sure you probably have it in your collection as well. It's the one that says footprints. Most homes you go to, they have that. One night, a man had a dream. He dreamt he was walking along the beach with the Lord. Across the sky flashed scenes from his life. For each scene, he noticed two sets of footprints in the sand. One belonged to him and the other to the Lord. When the last scene of his life flashed before him, he looked back at the footprints in the sand. He noticed that many times along the path of his life, there was only one set of footprints. He also noticed that it happened at the very lowest and saddest times of his life. This really bothered him, and he questioned the Lord about it. Lord, you said that once I decided to follow you, you would walk with me all the way. But I have noticed that during the most troubling times in my life, there is only one set of footprints. I don't understand why, when I needed you most, you leave me. The Lord replied, my son, my precious child, I love you, and I would never leave you. During your times of trial and suffering, when you see only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. Is not that powerful? I am sure that you and I as adults, we can really look on those times, so many times that he carried us, you know. So we're going to be talking about perseverance or persistence here. If I could select one quality or one personal characteristic that I regard as the most highly correlated with success, regardless of what your career is, you know, whether you're in business or entrepreneur, nurse, doctor, teacher, police, whatever, pilot, whatever you do, there's one word that I think across the board, if you talk to people about their success or their accumulating wealth, the one word that comes up a lot is the word persistence or perseverance. They don't give it up. They stick to it always. They always stick to it. Determination and the will to endure to the end is very important in one's life. I am a living example of that. I live, walk, taste, smell, drink persistent perseverance and determination, because For as many times as I've been knocked down, turned over, I still get up, brush my knees off, and plunge forth again. I cannot afford to quit. It was, I was reading one of John Maxwell's Minute for the Day, and the other day, while he was doing his certification program, he had different participants come up to give their word live on the spot at the training. And this gentleman came up and he asked the gentleman what was his word for the day. And the gentleman said, quit. And he discussed it for approximately 2 minutes. And he gave an example about when he was a child and was approaching to become a teenager, then become early adult, and then adult and everything. He remembered one day taking his dictionary, reading the meaning of the word quit. And John said, believe me, he said, I took the scissors and I cut the word quit out of my dictionary. And I did not want the word quit to be a part of who I am. I didn't want it to be a part of my vocabulary. And I most certainly was never ever going to be quitting once I started something. And that was what I think I call an aha moment for me, because that is what you can refer to as taking drastic measures. Taking drastic measures. He did not want to be a quitter. He did not have any room in his life to accommodate that. And because of that, he removed the word out of his dictionary. So he cut it out his dictionary. It was not part of who he is. And he did not plan on becoming a quitter. And I thought that was very, very, very important. You know, you get knocked down, and I tell you something, it takes a lot to get up once you are knocked down. Because a lot of times the situation knocks you down, but what is worse than the situation that knocks you down is the way that society deals with it. A lot of times there are people who are close to you, people that you love dearly. They are the ones who are the hardest on you when that happens. So you got to be on the watch out for those things. I do not think that there are any qualities so essential to success of any kind as the quality of perseverance and persistence. We must have the perseverance to overcome, regardless of what it is. We got to be resilient. We must be able to overcome. A lot of times you will need to depend only on yourself. You can't always look to someone who is going to be helping you out, because a lot of times people need help themselves and they honestly and truly do not know what to do to help you. So don't always be running to them with your problems. You got to find some other solutions of investing in yourself so that you can be prepared to serve yourself when these things are needed. History has demonstrated that the most notable winners' quality usually encountered heartbreak, obstacles, before there's a triumph. I was speaking with a gentleman the other day, and he said to me that I think he said 91% of all the millionaires were homeless. So he said, oh, you and I, we are in that company. I said, oh, well, thank you. So we got to start working on our millions. So, and he said that jokingly, but it's to show us that most of the millionaires that you can look on around the world today, when you read their stories, you realize that they were not born with a golden spoon in their mouth. So it took a lot of persistence, a lot of perseverance and determination to get to where they are. Nothing in the world can take the place of perseverance. Not talent, not skills. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men and women who are talented. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Perseverance and determination alone are the omnipotent. We cannot live our lives without really concentrating and depending on determination and persistence and perseverance. Even in our relationships with spouses and family members. And you and I know that sometimes they rub us the wrong side even more than strangers do. And if it's not because we are practicing determination and perseverance, we would really give up on them. There is a lot of power in the word perseverance, and especially when it is coupled and partnered with determination. There is power in that. And you might ask, Daphne, what do you mean by power? Well, for each and every one of us, when you get involved in situation where you encounter some challenges or difficult and you have to like pull out your resources. It's like you have a little toolbox with all these different things in it. You have faith, you have perseverance, you have determination, you have love, you have all these different things in it. And there are different times in our lives when we must go in there and we got to yank that out and we have to pull it out. And that gives us power, knowing that we are in total control. We are not running to this person or that person, whether it's a stranger or family member. We are not running to them to help us to overcome what it is that we want. We are not doing that. We know the power that we possess inside of us, and we do whatever we need to do as well as what we choose. I think what we choose to do is more important. We choose to tap into that inside power that we have to get us the result that we want. All I know is that power exists, and it's an individual thing. Each and every one of us needs to design our power. Each of us need to be able to stipulate. When you say you have power and control over something, what does it mean for you? Each and every one, there can be 50 of us in a room, and each and every one of us will define that differently. So you need to just get your definition down. You don't have to get mine or the next person. Just get your definition down. And when, I think if you have seen me taught on the 7 P's to success, and you heard me talk about power and that you should not abuse it, but use it in a positive way that it will impact and influence others. There are times when you pull out your perseverance label, belief and understanding, and you are beginning to focus on that. And there are people who cares that They love us dearly, and they would do their best for us. Yet, they are looking to get us not to focus on perseverance, because, oh, why you want to do something that is so hard? You're not making any money off of it. Oh, baby, it's going to this, it's going to that. You got to know what you believe, and you got to persevere to the end. You got to persevere to the end. Okay? I have another thing here that I want to read to you. And this is another one of my favorite. I have so many favorite readings. It says, life is square with its twists and turns. And every one of us sometimes learns. And many a failure turns about. When you might have won, had he stuck to it, don't give up, though the race seems slow. You may succeed with another below. So in other words, don't give up. Success is failure turned inside out. The silver tint of the cloud of doubt, and you never can tell how close you are till may be near. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when you are hardest hit. It's when things seems worse that you must not quit. And you remember what I read in the beginning about the footprints. And this, I think, is a particularly good topic to go with the building of the self-esteem with the children, because it's going to take a lot. And we must be there unconditional for them. And in order to do that, there are going to be times when we are going through our stuff as well as they are going through their stuff. And we as adults or as parents, we may not have anyone who will lift us up and support us. So we have to use things like these. For me, I know it's meditation. It's doing my quotes and things like that. And I am going to share with you some of my favorite quotes that keeps me going each day. And you have to find out what works for you, what it is that you have, because you might not have anybody to turn to when you need to be supporting your child or your children in lifting their self-esteem and to lift them up, because you are going through challenging times. So you need to accumulate an assortment of things that keep you going all the time. It can be music, it can be poetry, it can be artwork, but whatever it is that keeps you going, you have ready access to it, and you can pull on it, because you got to be there. Remember, you can't, if you have children in school, you should not be depending on the teacher to do everything for them. We got to be there for them. We must be there for them. It is so important, because it is such a challenge to live in today's world as a young person. So in order for them to have a strong determination and perseverance, it depends on the seeds that you are planting in them. And remember that you have to find the things that keeps you going. you know, there are lots of times when we are going through it ourselves, and we cannot, for the life of we, find the energy to continue. And you give up. And you got to know that the children are watching you all the time. Every move you make. There is a poem that said, children live what they learn. So they are always watching you, and sometimes, most times, they do not talk to you about it until later on in life. They are talking about it, and you see how a lot of things that they went through in their lives is based on things that they held against you. I know that I go through that with my own son, because as a single parent, there were some challenging times, and now he's in his 20s, and I'm learning that things that happened from he was 9 years old has helped to affect the way he is. But the one thing that was always, I was persistent with, I never changed where my faith is and my attitude. You know, I'm always there for him through thick and thin. I am always there for him. I am strong, and I have a strong spiritual belief, and he knows that. And I'm not asking him to be like me, but I'm there to give a word of encouragement. Even now, I'm weighing in, and I will ask him, do you mind me telling you what my opinion is about certain things? And I share my opinion with him. It's not that I'm dictating his life, but a lot of times as parents, we have to weigh in and let the children know. Because honest truth is, it doesn't matter whether they are 300 years old or 3 months old. They're always going to be our children. So we got to be there for them. And I was listening to a DVD the other day, and there are two women, I think they're in the Houston area, that's working together. And one of the women is a baby boomer, and the other is a Gen Y. And she was saying that the Gen Ys understand about the technology that's going on now, but the baby boomers understand about the importance of relationships. And that's why when you tell your child something, you got to be persistent, keeping it in front of them. Because trust me, they are not going to get it the first 24 times you tell them. So you got to keep doing it in a loving way, and be determined that they get it and they learn it. And not because you're telling them, but because it adds value to their lives. So it is very important to let them know that nothing comes easy in life, but everything is in reach so long as you persevere to the end. Don't give up. Don't quit, because you got to go the full course. Don't you ever give up, because if you give up and if you quit, you never know what's around the corner. You never know what is awaiting you. So don't you ever, ever quit. Okay? There is, I have my other book here, and there's one reading here I want to share. The very essence of Hindu philosophy is that man is a spirit and has a body, and that man is a body and may have a spirit also. So when there are so many different practices that you can use to encourage your child, and regardless, we were talking before about some of the things that you would differ on. But just respect it. You know, the other day I was doing a segment of my show, and I had two people on, and someone in my chat room asked a question about spirituality, and one of the guests answered and said that sounded like a New Age thing. And then I asked him what was his definition of New Age, and he was quick to pull his dictionary to read it. And I was laughing because I wanted to know what is his personal description of New Age. Not what the dictionary said, but I wanted to know what he said. So he shared what the dictionary said it was. And I'm sharing that to say that you got to be flexible in asking and understanding the choices that your children make. And they will make choices that you are not going to support and you will not tolerate. However, be persistent, be determined in letting them understand that you love them and you will do all for them. However, you will not tolerate that. And it has nothing to do with your unconditional love. But you can't be flipping and flopping from one side to another, one side to another. You got to be persistent in everything you do. And remember, as always, you got to say, I love you, because that is important. It doesn't matter what struggles you're going through, because we're always going to be loving them. We are going to be persistent in saying that. And we are going to persevere to the end, regardless of what the choices they make in the middle. We are going to be determined to love them to the end. All right? So, again, I love you for watching the show, as always. And share the news with someone so they too can be watching the show. I want you to know that you do not have to settle for mediocrity, because you have the ability to create excellence. Be blessed.
Thank you.